Welcome everybody to the Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company podcast number, I don't know what. It's been a long time since I've done a proper knitting podcast, maybe a few months. So yeah, I'm back. I have a lot to share. So many things to share, and I have a shop update next week. So I have a lot of yarn to share and fun dyeing experiments that I've been doing. So I'm so excited to share my projects, my yarn, everything with you. Now, I should probably just start straight in because this is going to be a long one, and then we can maybe have a wee chatty bit at the end. So I have 3 finished objects today, which is very good for me. That averages out at what, like 1 a month? Well, no, it doesn't really, because I didn't knit one of them. So I'll start off with the one that I didn't knit. I commissioned a sample knit, which turned out so well. It's actually something I started to make myself, and then I just thought, I don't think I've got the brain power for this. Not that it was particularly difficult, but I just thought I don't want to stress myself out by trying to knit something. So I commissioned the Galway Bay Shawl, which is a pattern by the Wool Barrow. Tonje designed this in my yarn, and it was released a few months ago now. And I have some left in the shop. And here it is! It's huge! Now, it probably needs a wee bit of a better block, but you can see some of the details in it. It's not a crazy complicated pattern, but it does involve Tonje, colour work, lace work, a whole range of techniques. It's knitted at a really nice loose gauge, and it's finished off with this gorgeous border, which I really, really like. So the Galway wool is Ireland's native breed of sheep, the Galway sheep. And I got this yarn spun at sport weight. It was spun in Donegal by Donegal Yarns, and I naturally dyed these colours. So this was dyed with, we call it dock in here, some people call it dock. This was dyed with the leaves, and then the pinks were dyed with madder. And I just think, isn't this just a glorious sample? How big is this as well? Look at that. Stunning, absolutely stunning. And Lucy it's far too warm in here for me to have this on. Lucy did an amazing job knitting this. This has been my most lovely experience of getting a sample knit. She was so fast and so good, so very skillful. This probably wasn't the easiest sample to knit, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of garter in it too, don't get me wrong. But you need to know probably certain things about how to do picot edging if you're going to do that, or the Tonje colour work, or the lace work. The Galway yarn typically wouldn't be worn next to the skin, so this would be really good as a outer garment, or I think it's fine for a shawl, unless you're very sensitive next to your neck skin, which a lot of people are, I know that. It was originally used for Aran sweaters, which is why it has the kind of ruggedness that it does. So I was really, really pleased with this sample, and the colours were called, I think this one was just called Dock or Dockin. This one, the light pink, was called Port Braddon, which is a harbour near here. And then the brighter kind of salmony colour was called Coral, spelt in the Irish way. I think some of these colours are left on the website. It takes, I think, 2 skeins of the yellow, 2 of the Port Braddon, and a 50-gram skein of the Coral. I think that's what it takes. Can't quite remember, but wow, it turned out so nice. And I think there's a few options within the pattern to customise it a bit. So yeah, because I actually probably knit it about this much of it, like a wee triangle, the first triangle of it. and I made a mistake. I forgot a yarn over, and then that's when I just was like, oh, I can't fix this. I'll have to rip out its intarsia. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's when I decided it might be a good idea to get a sample knit, which, you know, I actually don't do very much. But just, yeah, because I don't do that many yarn shows. In fact, I don't really do any. So, but it's still nice to have something to show people on YouTube and Instagram. So, yeah. And it's good for me to see how the yarn knits up and everything too. And I think the Galway yarn particularly suits being knit up at this kind of looser gauge. I just think it really works really well. Obviously it'd be great for cables too. So yes, thank you Lucy for knitting that for me. It's wonderful and I love it. So that's the first finished object. The second one, which isn't even completely dry off the, I was going to say the blocking mat, but it's not a blocking mat, it's the blocking plate. And this is the Stalk Pip Beret by Ailbiona. Ailbiona is one of my favourite designers, and I do know her personally as well. So we correspond about different things, yarns, patterns, stitch counts. Sometimes if I need help with something, I send her a message when I'm in distress. That is knitting related help. But I just think she's a fantastic designer, and she's designed some really cool patterns. So it's still a little bit wet, but I'll just put it on to show you what it looks like. I've knitted one of these Stalk Pip Berets before, and it is by far my favourite hat. Like, the first one that I knitted was in my Swarbles and Blue Texel yarn, and it is honestly my favourite hat. I have like a red long kind of puffer jacket that it's like a down jacket that's long that I wear in the winter, and this Warbles and Blue Texel held double for this hat looks so good with that jacket. Like, it probably well, my brother-in-law calls it my Arsene Wenger coat, so I don't know if that reference makes sense to any of you. I think it's a football, but obviously this wouldn't go with it because it's green. I would look like a Christmas tree or something, just like a festive bauble. So for this one I used my Causeway yarn, which is a blend of Teeswater and Oxford Down. And the colourway was one that I only had one skein left of, I think, and it was called Pea Shoots. I think that's what it was called. So I took it for myself and thought, I'll just knit something with that. Held it double again. The fit is perfect, worked out so well. These hats, I feel, really suit my head and sit really well, and they look really nice compared to normal beanie hats for me. I don't know why, but I just think they're so stylish. I just love them. So, yeah. So I'll tell you a wee story later on about when I lost my knitting mojo, but basically this was the project that got me out of that terrible phase of losing my knitting mojo. So basically how you do it is you start at the stalk, and you can make it into a pip later on if you want to by sewing it down. I like the stalk, so I kept the stalk. Then you increase in this beautiful pattern, and then you just knit normally for a few rounds, and then you decrease, and then you do this lovely, so this detail is what I really, really like. I just think it's so tidy. This is like the classic hem, or the store-bought looking, no, it's not a hem. The bit, oh, what's it called? I can't remember. Anyway, look at that on the inside, how good that is. Just so tidy. So it's a very like professional finish, I feel. So, really, really pleased with this. I really, really recommend knitting one. It's very addictive. Once you start, you knit it in a couple of days. And you could also use, well, I'll tell you later about what you could use for it, but if you've lost your knitting mojo and you want to get it back, cast on one of these. It's brilliant. Really brilliant. Yeah. So that is my second finished object. I don't have any of this colourway left in the shop, but I do have some Causeway yarn in the shop. I think I have some in an older colourway that I dyed with alder cones, so you could use that. And I have a couple of other colours, not that many. So, second finished object. Third finished object is the Cloud Sweater by Petite Knit. And any of you who have been following along will know that I've been knitting this for quite a while. This, I should probably put it on, but it's not for me, so I'm not sure what the fit will be like. The recipient of the gift is a similar size to me, but with longer arms. So I'll explain a little bit more about that later on. So basically, this is for my mother-in-law, and it was knitted partly out of stash yarn. So I use Rowan Kid Classic, which is like a blown yarn, and to me it's like a sport weight, but on the label it said Aran weight. It has, now this was my first big yarn purchase I didn't buy. I got it for a Christmas present whenever I was like 21, and it's sat in my stash ever since until now. And my dad bought it for me, so I don't know if I was like stalling a wee bit on what to use it for. And then this came along and I decided to use it for this, and I know my mother-in-law really likes this blue colour. I really like this blue colour too, although I have no garments myself in this colour. So, and I used Knitting for Olives Silk Mohair, and I think the colourway I used with that was Dusty Dove Blue, and it created this really nice marl. Quite subtle, but like you still notice it. Like it's enough to be a feature, but not enough to be in your face. Turned out really nice. This was a joy to knit. That's the only thing I can really say about this pattern. It started, as quite a few of the newer Petite Knit patterns do, I've noticed, start at the back and you're increasing here or doing short rows or maybe both. And I love this construction because to me it's such an easy cast on. There's not too much counting. You can see quite visibly a lot of progress really quickly, so it's quite like encouraging, especially if you're a really slow knitter like me. And so you knit the back and then you knit the two front bits, I think that's how I did it, and then you join it all. I hope I'm not wrong about that. It's been a long time since I did this part of this project, and it was just knit. It's such a lovely gauge that was just so easy to knit, and it was really nice. I can't remember what size of needles I used. The pattern recommends 4.5. I think that's probably what I used, although I'm generally a loose knitter, so generally I'll go down at least a needle size. But yeah, this one just worked out so well, and I'll put it on and you can see kind of a little bit what the fit is like. And then you just pick up the stitches for the sleeves. See, it's a bit long on the arms for me. I've got really short arms, although it would be cozy at this length. But my mother-in-law and apparently everyone else has longer arms than me, because I gave away a few hand knitted sweaters, and when people tried them on I was like, I must have really short arms, because like everyone else this is like up to like here on them. So my arms must be like 5 to 10 centimeters shorter than everyone else's, I don't think. Hopefully you can see the little rolled hem detail and just the really simple little cuffs, which is so nice. And I kind of want to keep this for myself, but I'm not going to keep it because this is for her birthday present last year, and it's actually her 70th birthday this year. So it'd be kind of cool if I could knit her something to go along with it, maybe. But if anyone sees this, don't hold me to it. I might not do it. So it's very warm in here, so I'm going to take this off now and set it back to the side. That is all for my finished objects. I know 3 months and I've knitted 2 things, but I have been working on other things and trying out other things. But I'm just a totally slow knitter, so that's just how I roll. I don't set deadlines. I don't do anything like that. I mean, her birthday, my mother-in-law's birthday was last January, and this is it getting blocked now. So, yeah, that's just how I roll, and if you're the same, don't feel bad about it at all. So, what will I show you first? I'm going to show you the project that made me lose my knitting mojo for so long, and I just kept trying to go on with it, and then I just stopped, and everything felt better. Oh, here we go. This is in my buku bag. I got this literally years ago. It's quite dirty inside now, and I don't think there's any way of cleaning it, but I still love this bag. But it does kind of become my little bin. Does anyone else have like a bin bag? So this is the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibres. And this project, yeah, this is the one that made me lose it, people. It totally made me lose it, even though I'm like quite close to the finish. And it looks as if it's the totally wrong size, but anyway. So it's like a little lace vest top. And it is... There's supposed to be a border in the bottom, quite a substantial border, like a good size, and then picking up for the neckband, and then buttons down the front, and picking up for the armholes. And yeah, so I'm going to tell you a story about this project because the situation was not good. So what happened was, might try it on, I've never tried it on. Looks teeny tiny. Maybe it is teeny tiny. Might fit my 3-year-old daughter. So, oh no, that's not right. Here we go. Okay. So basically, I seen this design ages ago and I was like, oh, this is so cute. It would look so nice in my new yarn, my Natural Decay. It would look so nice in the undyed, and I could wear it with so many dresses and everything. So that was grand. Come a bit closer so you can see some of the details there. And yeah, looks as if it's halfway up my back, to be honest. Might block down quite a bit though. Anyway, so this is how the story goes. Started the project. That did not go well because I cast on, I think, either 3 or 4 times. So the first time I cast on, I cast on all the stitches, and then I realised it should have been a provisional cast on. So I was gutted because there's like maybe 300 stitches, 200 or 300 stitches, a lot of stitches anyway. So I pulled it all out, and then I did the provisional cast on. And once I had it cast on, I thought, that looks too big. That's going to be way too big and ridiculous looking. Pulled it all out, cast it all on again, and I was like, I think I went down a needle size at this point, and I was like, this is still going to be too big. And then I ripped it all off again, ripped it all out again, cast it all on again, and I went down to the smallest size, and I went down a needle size as well. So to say the cast on was a nightmare is a bit of an understatement, to be honest with you. By that time I was so sick of it, I was like, oh, come on, can we just get to the knitting? Like, I couldn't be bothered with all this provisional cast on business. And I understand why the designer did it. But I don't know why you can't just put it on waste yarn or like a spare needle. Would that not be easier than doing all that faff with the extra bit of thread and all? Someone tell me why you would do that over putting on waste yarn and putting your needle back in. Please, someone tell me. Why does a provisional cast on exist? There's going to be people here who know, so tell me. Anyway, I started to knit Oops. And I was knitting away from the chart and all, thought I was doing class. Then I realised I made a mistake in the motif. And at this point I was like, I'm not ripping this back, I'm just going to keep going. So I kept going, so there's a mistake in the motif. Probably no one would notice but me. But even still, that annoyed me. And the way you knit it is, you knit this portion first. Really odd construction, I think. I don't know, there's maybe other ways of doing this that would be easier, in my opinion. But maybe the lace pattern needs to be knitted bottom up for the stitches to look right. Like, I guess you can knit lace the other way, but it might change the way the motifs look. So anyway, once I realised I made the mistake, I did it the whole way through the row so that at least the whole row would look the same. So I had this wee skinny piece of fabric, and then you start into doing this bit at the side, like this right front and left front. So then I've got this wee skinny bit of material here and another wee skinny bit of material here, and it was flapping about in the needles like this here, and I was like, oh, this is so annoying. And then you knit the back, and when you connect everything, it gets better. But then now we're at this really annoying point where I had to pick up all these stitches for the neckband. And it wasn't just like knit purl one, it was like you had to knit through the back loop or something. I don't know, it was really, yeah, knit one, purl one through the back loop to the last stitch, and then the next row is knit two through the back loop, and then purl one, knit one through the back loop. My brain just did not compute. I was like, I could not be bothered anymore. And it was at that point I was like, oh, I can't believe I put so much effort into this project. So I was talking to my sister-in-law about it, who is also a knitter, although she doesn't knit so much at the minute. She also sews. I'll try and get her on the podcast sometime. And she was like, Emma, just leave it. It's not worth it. And I was like, because I really want the final product. But now there, when I tried it on, I realised I think it's probably going to be too small. I would like to finish it because it'll fit my daughter one day and hopefully she'll appreciate it. She probably won't. So at some point when I feel like I've took an extended break from this project, I probably will return. But it slightly killed me, I'm going to be honest. So I'm just going to put it back in the bag. This is my natural DK yarn. This is the yarn that is being released next week in my shop. It's a mix of Blueface Leicester and Cheviot, UK sourced and spun, and I naturally dyed a whole bunch of it that I'll show you later in lots of fun and exciting ways. I have a natural sock yarn that is also the same fibre blend, but this is DK, so it's 200 meters per 100 grams, and it's not tightly spun, and it feels really soft, like next to skin soft. Perfect sweater yarn. Probably perfect for hats as well. I've actually done a project before in it. I had this yarn a long time ago in the shop before, and I knitted Vanessa Police's Kume cardigan in it, which I also gave to my mother-in-law. And she's probably like one of the only people I would ever knit for. Well, there's a couple more, but she really, really enjoys wearing that cardigan as well. So yeah, so anyway, where was I? Yeah, so in that Kume cardigan, I actually staked it and it was okay. It's worsted spun yarn, it's not woolen spun, so it's not as grippy as a woolen spun yarn, but I was still able to stick with it. And if I had reinforced my stake properly, I wouldn't have had any problems. But I didn't. But that's a video from a long time ago. It's on YouTube somewhere. And I ended up rescuing some stitches by, I think, needle felting a little bit. And it works so good. Anyway, that was my work in progress that killed me a little bit. So we'll stuff that bag in the bag and forget about it for a while. Next cast on, also in natural DK, is the Chestnut Sweater by Petite Knit. And oh, like all my stitches are falling off the needle. Need to use some of my own stitch stoppers, which are in the shop. I know, why have I not got more than like one set? I need to get more for myself in my personal stash. And I'm in the middle of a row, so that's not very helpful. Now this red is coming up very, very red on camera. This is a colour I just basically dyed for myself. It's not as red in real life, it's a bit more muted. I dyed it 3 times to get this colour. I was really happy with it. And originally I was like, this would be perfect for an Ester sweater. It's such a good colour. Like, I think it would work the texture really well because the yarn's quite a round yarn. And that's the way I wanted it. Whereas the natural sock's only 2-ply. I think this is actually 1, 2, yeah, this is a 3-ply yarn, so it's a lot rounder. So really good for like cables, really good for, I don't know, I think the stitches just look so neat. I don't know if you can see, but they just stand up like little soldiers, like they're so perfectly aligned. And I was able to get gauge really easily. Did I say it's the Chestnut Sweater by Petite Knit? I think I did. I can't remember what she uses to get gauge in her project, but yeah. So this is again that construction that I love from the centre back. You cast on so many stitches and then you're straight into the German short rows. And normally I'm like, oh, German short rows. But this time I was like lapping them up. I was like, couldn't get enough of them. I think I'm at the point in my knitting journey now where I have that lodged in my mind how to do them. And it becomes so lovely when you get to do them without having to look up any instructions. And I just really, really enjoyed the German short rows. Is that weird? Maybe. Now I'm just on the straight knitting. So it's, you know, I only have about another, I think 5 or 6 centimetres of straight knitting to do. So this is kind of my little joyful project at the moment. And I'm really enjoying it, even though I've just basically started it. I won't have this exact colour in the shop, but I'll have something quite close. This is probably the closest that I have. It's a little bit lighter. This is the poppy colourway. And this colourway has no name because I just dyed it for myself. So I feel like there's going to be people asking me for it. And I might dye up a batch for my festive extravaganza update in November. So we'll see. So this is this project. My second joyful work in progress was another thing that I cast on during the face of losing my knitting mojo. It's in a little woolen flower bag. She's a natural dyer in Glasgow. Got this at Edinburgh Yarn Festival many years ago. And I was like, couldn't be bothered winding any yarn. My yarn winder broke. I was waiting on my new one. And I was like, just gonna grab a magic knot ball that I have that I've never used. It's from the very first advent calendar that I made. So I grabbed it, started knitting. Knit. I'm not using a pattern for this. I don't really use a pattern for my socks because I have like my own pattern in my head. And I like to knit the socks to really fit me. So I usually generally knit them all the same way, which sounds really boring. But like if you know it fits, I feel like that's fine. I mean, I could always insert like a little cable or a little stitch pattern into them, but you know, if you just need a small project that you want to work on, you know, if you're out and about, then it's good not to have a pattern. And yeah, so I started knitting. I think I actually cast on 72 stitches for the cuff because, little side note about the needles actually, which I found in a charity shop near me. This is what they are. They're vintage needles, they're 2mm and they're stainless steel. And they're so good, I love them. I might go back. I bought 2 pairs. I think they had more. I should have got more and I could have done a giveaway, which would have been really fun. And I really like the packaging. I see it has a wee ruler on it and everything. Anyway, I couldn't find the size of needle I would normally use to do a cuff, because I would go up, you know, maybe half a size to 2.5 to do the cuff, and then I would change to 2mm to do the leg, meanwhile just keeping all 64 stitches, but I couldn't find it, and to be honest, I couldn't really be bothered looking for it. So I just cast on 72 stitches for the cuff, and then I reduced that down to 64 stitches when I got to the leg. And then I just did a heel flap and gusset, but I decided, you know, I basically knitted the first 20 grams, I think, until it pretty much ran out. Then I went into my second colour and I was like, oh, you know what, could be really fun if I do like a colour block type thing. So for the gusset, I used my natural sock. This is all my natural sock yarn, by the way. I will have some of this in the shop update too, but I had this left over from my Ian sweater by November Knits. And I thought, oh, these colours would look so nice together, like the olive and the coral. So I'm doing like a colour block thing, and then going to knit the next colour until it runs out, and then I'll find another colour. So we'll see how that goes. And I've got a little stitch marker by Chapel View Crafts. Maybe you can't see that. A little pumpkin for autumn. So that is my third work in progress. My fourth work in progress you've probably all seen before, but it has a lovely new house in this bag by, the name is, let me get it, Willow Bay Gifts or Willow Bay Bags. And she created this beautiful patchwork bag, and she makes them. I think she's in England, maybe, I'm not 100% sure. And this was a birthday present to myself. Yeah, Willow Bay she's called, check her out. So my Helle sweater by Tonje Hodne, this has been going since last year, I think, and I just knit a few rows on it if I'm feeling it. So I've probably done about 2 or 3 inches since the last time you've seen this, so not crazy a lot of progress. Like, I started off really fast and then I just kind of got slower and slower. So anyway, I'd love to have this finished for this winter. It has a nice turtleneck. I was thinking of knitting it slightly longer, like tunic length. And yeah, you just need to pick up stitches here and here for the arms and the neckband. And I am using my BFL Gotland 4-ply held alongside my Hearth DK. The BFL Gotland is Blueface Leicester and Gotland, as the name implies, and the Hearth DK is the same as my Hearth sock. It is Blueface Leicester and Jacob. So, and I'm just going to try and keep going with this slowly, just doing a wee bit, just whenever I feel like it. And I've put a wee apple stitch marker on from Chapel View Crafts again. She had these new stitch markers for autumn, so I got a few as part of my birthday present to myself. It wasn't actually to myself, my mum gave me some money and some other people gave me some money, so I just thought, I'll treat myself to a couple of things. Love the colour. I think it would be a really wearable piece, a big cozy jumper for the winter, which is very much needed in our house, which is totally freezing. If any of you watched Vlogmas, I think it was like, was it 2 years ago? It got down to like 8 or 9 degrees in my kitchen in the morning. It was so cold. So anyway, I need a lot of woolen things. And I've realised that actually I don't have that many different like colours in my wardrobe. So I'm kind of slightly on a mission with the chestnut sweater and with maybe another project I'll do eventually, that I want to put more colour in my wardrobe, because I often wear denim or like monochromatic, you know, like these dungarees or like jeans or, you know, dark coloured trousers. And I think if I had a few pops of fun brighter colours in jumpers, it could be really fun for me. So that is all my FOs, all my works in progress. I wanted to talk briefly about a project that I tried to cast on, but I had to give up. So I tried to cast on the Guilloche Lite, which is a pattern by Ailbiona. And I tried to cast it on. Now this is a cabled, all over textured pattern. I'll say now I haven't done many cables. I'm not an experienced cable knitter, but I have knit a few cables. So this came as a surprise to me that I couldn't even knit the swatch. So I'm using Hillesvag Solje. And I think this is my 3rd or 4th try to cast this on. And I kept doing it wrong. And you can do it, she has instructions for with a cable needle or without a cable needle. So I tried both. I couldn't do either. I don't know why, but my brain was not computing the pattern. The yarn is beautiful, but I did start to wonder, is this the best yarn to knit cables with? Like, I actually think my natural DK would be a lot more suitable because it's a rounder yarn, so it'll be easier to see the pattern and it'll stand out, you know, more easily. After I think my 4th attempt, I just gave up because I just thought, I thought this was going to be the project to cure my loss of knitting mojo. It was not. It slightly added to it. So, but I do really like that sweater, and it is something that I would like to have. So whenever I somehow gain some skills or clarity, I will try again in a different yarn. But I would like to really knit something in this Norwegian yarn. Maybe something more simple, knit it at a nice light gauge, as something I can just throw on. Like, it's a really good weight for like now, this time of year, like autumn, maybe spring. Such a pretty colour. So yeah, if you have any ideas, you can let me know below. And this is housed in a little basket that I got in TK Maxx that I was going to give to my daughter for her birthday, and somehow yarn and projects migrated into it. So I might keep it. Don't know. We'll see. I don't think she's that bothered about baskets, so maybe I could make more use of it than her. So that's a little dream for the future, perhaps. On to the next segment, which is yarn, shop update, news, stuff. I have a lot of yarn coming to the shop. Most of it is natural DK. I do have some natural sock. I do have some hearth sock. And there's a new yarn coming before the end of the year, I think. So I want to show you that and tell you a bit about it. And I do have Laura Boyd ceramics mugs coming to the shop as well. So I'm going to grab one of those so I can show it to you. So this is Laura's new style of mug. It's really nice. Look at that handle, the nice round handle, and the very painterly brushwork. So these autumn mugs are coming to the shop next Wednesday. That's the 25th of September. 8 p.m. GMT. I will put this all below. And they are limited. So yeah, just to let you know that. But we will be getting more in the shop for my festive extravaganza. And it is always where I get as many things as possible, new things in the shop from different makers. And I have, yeah, one new maker with very beautiful stitch markers coming to the shop. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, and actually I forgot to show you as well. I do have in the shop, I don't think people even know they're there, these stitch stoppers, which are super handy, and I need to take some more for myself because, as you've seen, all my stitches fell off my chestnut sweater. These come in little sets and I think they're so cute. So I'm going to have, in this update, I'm going to have a few autumn stitch markers from Hello Kim, which I'll try and put photos of somewhere here because they're over there. And yes, onto yarn. Natural decay, we'll start with the tonals and I will try and go through kind of quickly. And then I'll show you the eco printed yarn, which I did, that I'm so proud of. Start with the tonals. Okay, I have so much of this. So I'm just going to, I have a very wide variety of colours, which is good. And yeah, so I'll just start, I'll try and go kind of light to dark or whatever. This is Jasmine. This is one of my really popular colourways. It's basically the natural colour but with like the yellowness killed off. So it's like, it has a very, very slight purple undertone, but it's by no way a purple yarn. Then we have Pearlescent. This is a really, the camera will never pick up how beautiful this colourway is because it's really subtle, but basically it's a tonal yarn, I would say, with tones of like pinkish, bluish, warmish, purple. Yeah, the camera will never ever pick this up, I don't think, but I'm really, really proud of this colour, and I think whoever gets this, it will make an absolutely stunning jumper. It will just look so good. And Timmy designed the labels. Don't they look so good with the white ink? And then we have Rich Tea Biscuit. These were all dyed with walnut husks, so if you're allergic, just be aware of that. It's a kind of truffly colour. Again, you can't really tell in this light maybe, but I'll maybe do a little shot at the end of them all together so you can kind of get the gist of what might look nice together. I have Sea Glass. These are kind of the lighter colours. Then we'll go into some mid to darker colours. We have Soft Pumpkin, which is a nice autumnal hue without being like too in your face. And I think it would look really good as part of a colour work kind of situation. Then we have Russet Carpet, another autumnal hue without being over the top. I've got a few really nice autumn kind of hues. Again, the camera doesn't pick up all the nuances in the colour of this, but this was I think this was an overdye. I overdyed this a couple of times just to get the really delicate kind of different tones in it. Then we have Wildflower, and we have Lavender Lane. So they're quite different purples. This one's a lot warmer, Lavender Lane. Can you kind of see that? So those look really good. Then I have one inspired by my daughter's favourite characters from the Fern Hollow series. This is Snitch and Snatch. And if you know the Fern Hollow books, they have such beautiful colours in them. And I think she would really like it if I took a few skeins for her. Because every time I'm knitting something pink, she's like, is that for me? And I have to say, no, it's for mummy. Like the Colourblock Socks, she's like, is that for me? And I had to say, no, that is not for you. Then I have Cornflower. Nice purpley undertone blue. And I have Cozy Walk. And I have a few similar colours, these three together. This one on the top is Candy Floss, and this one in the middle is Poppy. Poppy's just a little bit more saturated, and I think they go so well with this swell colourway. And you see, if you had like a jasmine with that or an undyed, hello colour work, hello, so nice. And then I have, last but not least, well, this isn't last, there's still the kind of speckled colourways. This is Guinness Stew. I feel it needs a mention because it's like brown but not brown. It's kind of like a clay pinky brown. It's like a brown with an undertone of pink. Not too dark, not too light. Just a really subtle, nice colour. Again, this was an over dye, 2 or 3 different over dyes I think, and it just turned out really, really good. One of them was also dyed with walnut, so just be aware if you're allergic. So I think that's most of the tonals I have here. I have loads more going to be for sale, but these are just the ones I pulled out to show you. I'll have different variations, including another pink one called Percy Pig, which, you know, if you have any little people in your life, they might be into that. It is quite a brightish Percy Pig pink colour. But all these colours look so nice together, so I'm really pleased with how these all turned out. Okay, so I have been doing loads of eco printing. Since I started my dye garden, I have really been experimenting a lot with that and really, really enjoying the process. Out in the garden I have Coreopsis, I have Dyer's Chamomile, I have, what else do I have? Rudbeckia, I've got Achillea, I've got Rosemary, I've got Bronze Fennel, loads of stuff. So this is what I dyed with that, and at the start I dyed only with stuff from the garden, and when I feel like I had kind of almost exhausted the possibilities from that, I started to mix them with like extracts and like traditional dye extracts and dye stuffs. So that's what I did. So I'll show you a couple that were only from the garden. So this is only from the garden. This is Rudbeckia and Doggin. And the Rudbeckia gives you these crazy blues and just turns out so good. If you want to see how I did these, you can check out one of my last 2 videos where I show the kind of process of this. Here's another one just dyed from the garden. This is called Coreopsis Bouquet. And it gives you these crazy oranges. Turned out so nice. So I was originally thinking to knit myself another Stalk and Pit Beret in one of these eco printed colours, because I just think, that would look so cool. This is a really one that turned out really, really nicely. I called it Catherine Way, like the firework. And these are ones that I mixed with extracts and exhaust baths that I had left over. This is the one I was thinking of taking a few skeins for my daughter because it turned out so nice. I think you can see, so this was a tonal, over dyed and eco printed. I think it turned out really, really nice. The Coreopsis and the Chamomile gives it really nice, like, look at that. Look at these little bits in it. And I called this one Dahlia. Yeah, I might take a couple of, or 3 skeins out. She's getting so big now, I keep thinking, oh, I can just take 1 skein out and knit her jumper, but that doesn't work anymore. Crazy, isn't it? This one turned out really, really nice. I'm so proud of it. This is Glitter Crackling. And look at that. Turned out so nice. That's the Rebecca, isn't it? Amazing, that bluey green. I just think that's so spectacular. And then we have Plum Crackle. This is really a mix of colours, although I don't know how well you can tell. But it's very beautiful. Mix of kind of pinky, purpley, warm, very warm kind of tones. Again, this would be such a fun sweater. And then we have 2 more Fern Hollow inspired ones. I think that's all the eco printed ones of the natural DK I pulled out to show you. This is Mr. Whirligill. Turned out really, really nice. Do any of you like Fern Hollow? And this is Windy Wood. Again, understated autumn. I don't feel the camera's picking up all the tones in this, but there's like little tones of purple and little moments of like orange, and it's just autumn without being like in your face. I think it would make an amazing vest. I think it would be a really nice vest with like a nice crisp white shirt. It would look really good. Like, when have I ever worn a shirt? Like, never, when I was at school. But you know, if you're into that, it would look really good. And I think Ailbiona has a pattern coming out that this would be perfect for. I don't know when it's coming out, but just watch around her page. So that is all my natural DK. I will show you the natural sock. I haven't nearly as much of it, or the hard sock to show you, but I'll just show you what I have anyway. I think in one of my last vlogs I said I really wanted to knit a pair of marled yellow socks, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to dye some for myself and I'll put some in the shop, and if you want to, you can knit them along with me. I clearly haven't started them yet, and it's going to be like a DK weight sock, so it's going to go fast. So this is 2 50-gram skeins. I know, confusing because I twisted them together. It's 2 50-gram skeins, so one is the lighter yellow, one is the darker yellow. So when you unravel the skein, you'll have 2 50-gram skeins, not 1 100-gram skein. My plan is to knit myself a pair of DK weight socks with the charm, and I have called this little pairing Sicilian Lemonade. And I know summer's over, but I feel like I just really want a pair of bright yellow socks to wear with my Birkenstocks. I just think it'll look so cool, even in the winter. It'll brighten everyone's day up. And then some eco printed on the natural sock. Oh, just set off my skein twister. Whoops. This is Wildflower Meadow. This was dyed with stuff from the garden and an exhaust bath. And like, look how that's turned out. So I'll have this. I will have a little bundle, which I just labelled up yesterday. So there's 2 tonal colours, and then there is the eco printed colour. And this would be really good, I think, for long socks, 3 colours, or you could do shorter socks and do an inverse pair. You could maybe also pair it with some undyed natural sock and do like a Maxine hot water bottle cover, maybe, something like that, or one of Laura's hot water bottle, Laura Penrose, who is the hot water bottle cover designing lady at the moment anyway. You could knit one of those maybe. So that turned out particularly nicely, that eco printed one. I have 2 more that I didn't put the labels on yet. I literally took them off, because this is a Saturday, I literally took them off the drying racks and twisted them up just to show you how nice they turned out. Again, a mixture of from the garden. Like, this was Cosmos Apricotta. Like, look how that's just taken. You can see this is the center of the flower. And then, yeah, because the center of the flower is like a darker yellow. And with this, I put in cochineal from the Canary Islands. So I think this turned out really nice. And this one, I kind of want to keep one for myself. Again, Rebecca to give you this blue-green, which is crazy nice. And cochineal. And then I think I used Wild for the yellow. And Dyer's Chamomile and Achillea. So these haven't been labelled yet. And then we just have some Hearth Sock. Now, I only have one of these eco-printed. But that's fine. This is Autumn's Bouquet. This was all dyed from the garden, this one. And this is on my Hearth Sock base, which is Blueface, Lester and Jacob. High twist, no nylon, good for socks. The natural socks, also good for socks. It's Blueface, Lester and Cheviot high twist. So this is also really nice for garments. I've knitted a tank, what's it called? Cutting Edge Vest by Ailbiona. And it turned out really nicely holding this double. So that could be really cool. Because, for example, you could hold this with an undyed and do like a tank and get like a kind of marled eco-printed tank. That would be cool. And then I just have two other new colours coming. This one has a funny name because it's halfway between my mustard and my moss colourway. So I called it Moss-Tard. Like, they're really bad, but really good. Moss-Tard. So that's what that looks like. And I'll also have this copper colourway, which you may have seen. I can't remember. Yes, no, you will have seen. So Laura Penrose is designing a beautiful sweater in my yarn called the Maxine sweater. She's knit one sample in yarn that I sent her, and she said she would like to knit another sample, and I said I'm happy to provide yarn support for your second sample. And this was the colour that she wanted to go for, along with the undyed natural sock, which is cream, and the undyed hard sock, which is grey. And that will be launching in November, along with my festive extravaganza. So I will have the original colours in the shop. I currently also had, for testers, some colour work packs and original colours of the Maxine, the original one. They are in the shop, but I mean, no one can get the pattern yet, so they'll just stay probably in the shop until November, when you can get the pattern, get the yarn. I actually would be quite tempted. I'm getting a sample knit, my second sample of the year. I'm getting it knit for me. I had a set in the shop called the Primaveral set, which is one option for the colour work of the Maxine sweater. So I took that and a little grey mini of the Hearth sock, and I'm getting that knit up into a lovely sample for myself. But she's also releasing a 3 colour version, which I would be tempted to knit. And I would actually be tempted to knit it in the colours that she chose. I think they're going to work really nice together, and I think they'll really pop really well. So I will see how my Chestnut Sweater goes, and maybe I could cast that on like a little bit later maybe. But I know she's also designing the Midland cardigan, and that's in my Hearty K, and I've already dyed yarn for that. So I mean, that's kind of lodged in my brain as well. And because I'm such a slow knitter, I don't know how, like, sometimes projects go on for a really long time with me, as you've seen. So that's all the yarn and a little bit about the Maxine sweater. 3 more things. The new yarn. I ordered a small amount of BFL Gotland Aran weight. Why, Emma, did you order that? Well, I will tell you why. Because in my I had an ambitious moment, basically. I couldn't knit this cabled, quite simple pullover by Ailbiona, a designer's work who I know quite well. But I seen that Petite Knit was designing the Dagmar cardigan, and I thought I could knit it. So I was like, I need to find a yarn that would work. So this is the Aran weight version of my 4-ply BFL Gotland, which is such a luxe, really nice yarn. Very soft and probably would be less drapey in the Aran weight just because of the way it's spun, but it is worsted spun rather than woolen spun. And I would like to knit it in the undyed colour because it's quite close to the original colour. This pattern is not released yet. It's not going to be released for a few weeks, I think. But I'm seriously thinking this would be so nice, but I don't know if I'm up to the challenge. But even if it goes really slow, I think that's fine. And it's the construction I like, the back, starting at the back. So I think that would aid me a little bit. I think, oh, maybe I could do it, I don't know. It just looks so cozy. I feel like cables are having a moment. I don't know, does anyone else think that? Cables and colour work are having moments, and I want to take part in the moment. So yeah, I think I'm going to release this yarn. I'm going to release a chunk of it undyed. I don't have very much of it, but I could get some more possibly. I might dye some of it. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I'm really excited about that. I might swatch for it soon. I have been getting a few questions about Vlogmas. I am going to be doing Vlogmas, although not every day because that's a bit intense. I'll just put, I'm going to put some on my YouTube channel and some extra ones on my Patreon, which I will leave a link to below. You can join at any time. I have 2 videos on there a month. The odd time we'll have an extra one. And some little posts. So if you want to keep extra up to date with what I'm doing, you can check that out. I also want to say, because I don't know where I put this last, if it was YouTube or Patreon, but my yarn winder broke and people were recommending me the Stanford winder. Anyway, I went to look for this Stanford winder, and it cannot be got in this country, and it cannot be shipped to my location. So I had a look at it, and then I just typed in yarn winder, Stanford yarn winder on eBay, see if I could get one second hand. Nothing. But a yarn winder came up that looked very similar. Was shipped from China. But I suspect the Stanford one is also made in China. That is my gut feeling. Because pretty much everything is, isn't it? So the quality is good. It did take, I would say, a few cakes to wear in. Once I figured out how to set it up, because it took me a while to do that. It's quite a different yarn winder to my previous one, which was very basic and given to me by my great aunt, who sadly is no longer with us. But it came to the end of its life, and I got this new one. It's metal, and I'll just show it to you. It's sitting here. It's set up. But it's very, very similar to the Stanford one, and it was, I think the Stanford, I might be getting this name totally wrong, but it was around 80 quid and this one was about 30, I think, 20 to 30. So I'll show it to you. Okay, this is it here. So some of you might be interested in this. So this bit comes off and then this bit needs attached here with this little differ dangle. And it's metal and these cogs are metal as well. I would say it's quite noisy compared to my old winder, but it's like, this thing's heavy duty, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. As I said, I had a couple of little problems when I first set it up. This bit here at the front, this needs to be like basically 90 degrees to the winding bit, and your umbrella or your swift needs to be to the right hand side of your ball winder. For some reason it doesn't seem to like it being at the other side. But yeah, this thing ain't breaking. It did tangle a couple of times, but sometimes ball winders do. I actually find it a bit slower than my other yarn winder. I don't know why, but it's also a jumbo one, so you can do like really big skeins or big magic knot balls if you want to. So it's actually, I'm pleased with it. I wondered at the start, was it a good idea? But I think it's good. Like, I think it's grand. And I do wind a lot of yarn. And yeah, so that's the story of the yarn winder. And behind me is you can see my yarn hanging up and my new yarn wall, which is just for me, not for sale. So I can put lots of colours on it and inspire myself. My friend Tom made it and he's an absolute genius. So I think that is us at the end of the podcast today. I'm also on Instagram at WoollyMammothFibres, and my shop is WoollyMammothFiberCompany.com. You can search that and you'll find me. And yeah, thanks for watching to the end if you did. And yeah, the shop update's next Wednesday. If you fancy any yarn, if you're in the market, or for any mugs or stitch markers. And yeah, until next time, which could be a while again, maybe Christmas, who knows. I'll have to wait until I knit something, finish something to show you. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that and see you later. Bye.